Rhonda Rockster reporting.
Violence in Paris, violence in Jerusalem. The unrest in Paris comes amid ongoing protests over a pension reform plan. The violence in Jerusalem, a continuation of the never-ending Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On Wall Street this morning, stocks in the red. Right now, the Dow is down 131 points, the NASDAQ off 37 points. More on these stories at townhall.com. People ask me sometimes, Lance, I'm worried about my finances, and I feel bad because I should be worried, right? I realize that inflation is going to be eating up money. I've got to do something to get around this crazy stock market and fighting the spending spree. Gold has, since the beginning of time, been the resource that God's people have relied on. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, is what the prophet Haggai said during a time of protect your retirement. I recommend you diversify your 401k or IRA right out of paper assets and into physical gold. The best way to do that is with Gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. I want you to text the word FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and get a free info kit on Gold IRA. There's no strings attached to this, so just text FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and see what I've discovered here about gold and its ability to stabilize your investment and create a storage of wealth for you in unsteady times. A dispute between Sudan's military and a paramilitary group has forced the delay of a deal with politicians aimed at restoring the country's democratic transition, derailed by a 2021 coup.
Last December, the military agreed a roadmap to handle the past experience, but the negotiations have stalled due to disagreements over the unification of the National Army and the dreaded paramilitary rapid support forces led by Burhan's deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo. The spokesman for the talks, however, says they are still determined to reach a consensus with the military. The factions hope that a final peace deal will unlock millions of dollars for them by the European Union and the US and help the country's struggling economy.
That's the BBC's Emmanuel Igunza. Japan's Coast Guard says it's searching for an Army helicopter carrying 10 crew members that went missing off a southern Japanese island, disappeared from radar during a mission last evening. News and analysis, townhall.com. Well, something that doesn't exactly inspire confidence in the Fed.
The FBI said participants in a Department of Defense training exercise at a Boston hotel entered the wrong room Tuesday and mistakenly detained a guest as the person in the role of the person to be detained. The mistake occurred about 10 p.m. with the Boston Division of the FBI assisting the U.S. Department of Defense in conducting the Defense Department exercise. The exercise was meant to simulate a situation that personnel might encounter during an actual event. The FBI said participants were mistakenly sent to the wrong room and detained a person who was not the intended role player. Keith Peters reporting. Abortion. The law in Idaho, where Governor Brad Little has signed a bill, makes it a crime for an adult to help a minor get an abortion without parental consent. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mike Gallagher here. Now's the time to sign up for our trip to Israel this fall. Dennis Prager and I are headed back to the Holy Land this October. The Stand With Israel Tour. Thanks to our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours, we're going to visit amazing places in Israel that will amaze and inspire you with every step of the way. Visit standwithisraeltour.com to learn more about this incredible journey. In Israel, we'll explore key sites you'll never forget. We'll walk on the ancient streets of Jerusalem. We'll sail the Sea of Galilee inside replica first-century boats and visit the Western Wall, a spiritual experience you won't want to miss. Our expert guides will help explain the importance of each and every site. The food and accommodations are precisely designed with you in mind. No other trip will be like the Stand With Israel Tour. Sign up today to travel with Dennis Prager and myself this October. Call 855-565-5519, 855-565-5519, or visit standwithisraeltour.com.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. It's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv. Streaming at 860amtheanswer.com. Our free mobile app on and the Odyssey app. This is 860 AM. The Answer.
This is your source for breaking news and what to make of it all. This is the Mike Gallagher Show.
The Democrats don't care. They will lie, cheat, and steal. And we're seeing it right now.
I think he probably will be convicted by a New York jury who voted for Bragg and voted for Get Trump. This is American injustice at its worst.
The modern-day Democratic Party has become unrecognizable to me.
Now, from the ReliefFactor.com studios, here's Mike Gallagher.
I was in New York earlier this week for the indictment of President Trump. We did our Salem News Channel coverage, and stations all over the country carried it as well. And we had, it was an interesting time to see the condition of New York. To hear from people in blue cities, in blue states, is really depressing. And this week in San Francisco, a tech executive was brutally murdered among luxury condos of a nice neighborhood in San Francisco. And of course, as a lot of San Franciscans have been telling me, there are no nice neighborhoods anymore. The lunatic who broke into Nancy Pelosi's home and tried to murder her husband, Paul, that's a nice neighborhood. This guy, this degenerate, breaking through the glass, and crimes are being committed. 43-year-old Bob Hill was the founder of Cash App, and more recently he was Chief Product Officer of Mobile Coin. He's described as a standout among Silicon Valley geniuses, someone idolized as a brilliant thinker. And tech executives in Silicon Valley, according to Axios, are viewing the killing of Bob Lee, who was apparently stabbed to death randomly. They viewed it as a disturbing illustration of social disorder in a city known as an innovation hub. You know, there's an old expression about liberals becoming conservative once they have to pay taxes. Or there, more recently, a more crude statement has been, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, maybe when progressives suffer the way the rest of the country is suffering, maybe we'll start to see change. I keep thinking about the national divorce. Red states are becoming redder. Blue states are becoming bluer. This week, Wisconsin voters elected a radical far-left activist judge who campaigned on abortion rights, and she won. This week, Chicago voters elected a guy who apparently is worse than Lori Lightfoot, a far-left radical activist who wants to defund the police. That's a great plan for Chicago, incidentally, don't you think? I'll bet that's what Chicago citizens want, less support for police, considering the crime epidemic in Chicago. These cities run by Democrats are becoming cesspools. I cannot understate that enough. But the citizens are helping to make it happen. Democrat on the Chicago ballot that they thought was going to win. He was the guy that the police supported, the police union supported. He got blown out of the water by this lunatic far-left guy who's going to apparently make Lori Lightfoot look like Mary Poppins. That's great. Way to go, Chicago. So I keep thinking about people who, and it's awful. These are great American cities. Chicago, San Francisco, New York. Iconic cities that America has loved forever. Since we've been, since the country grew and built into what it is today. And now, people wouldn't go into Chicago or New York or San Francisco under duress. Last night, Marjorie Taylor Greene described her visit to New York. She went there to participate in a rally hosted by the Young Republicans of New York. And of course, they booed her and they threw things at her, and she had to have bodyguards, and they jeered at her. The mayor of New York called her out, saying she's a rabble-rouser. Well, Tucker last night asked, how did your visit to New York go? She had a pretty succinct explanation of today's New York City.
Really quick, since you were just there, but Mayor Adams described New York as, quote, his home. How did his home look? Pretty neat and tidy?
No, his home is disgusting. I compared it to what I called Gotham City. The streets are filthy. They're covered with people basically dying on drugs. They can't even stand up. They're falling over. There's so much crime in the city. I can't comprehend how people live there. It was repulsive. It smells bad. And I think it's a terrible place.
I don't know why New Yorkers don't love that woman. Come on. If you just love the fabric of New York, don't you just embrace Marjorie Taylor Greene's description? But I keep thinking about red states and blue states, a national divorce. Because perhaps there's no way out of this other than to support. Look at what we thought might happen with Trump. If Trump gets a gag order, and he's not out of the woods yet, there's some legal analysis that suggests that the judge in the Trump indictment case is going to impose a gag order. If he does, and Trump's not allowed to campaign with the message that he wants to campaign on, what stops him from working out agreements with all the red state governors, like Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, Henry McMaster, Kim Reynolds, go down the list of all the Republican governors, who will agree not to allow him to be extradited to New York if he faces jail time because he's violated the gag order. Red states versus blue states. We got two countries. Abortion is going to apply to many of these states where people are being driven into the polls, or driven into the arms of Democrats because they're worried about women who lose the right to an abortion. I'm fascinated by that conversation. Ann Coulter this week begging conservatives, stop pushing strict limits on abortion. Guess what? There won't be any Republicans left if you don't knock it off. And to her point, have you heard about the 21 Republican lawmakers who want to pass legislation that makes getting an abortion a death penalty offense? That's a big problem for the Republican Party. Republicans are not being smart, and I don't know what the issue is. The pro-life movement is a righteous one. The pro-life movement is a godly one. Abortion is evil. Late-term abortion is particularly evil, and most of us know what side to fall down on. But ultimately, if Democrats have decided to weaponize the overturning of Roe v. Wade, supposed restriction on abortion rights, if Democrats are weaponizing that and they keep winning elections, well, forget the blue states. We might not have any red states left. 800-655-MIKE, 15 past the hour. We're in the ReliefFactor.com studios. Give me your take on it on this Thursday of Holy Week. It is Holy Thursday. I hope you have plans to have a blessed, safe, special Easter, a peaceful Passover. It's a very special time in our country, and I'm glad to share a little bit of it with you every day here on the Mike Gallagher Show. 800-655-MIKE, one open line, 800-655-6453.
Journalist James Rosen reveals never-before-reported details of a great Supreme Court justice in his biography, Scalia, Rise to Greatness. New from Regnery Publishing.
I can hear the melody, the story is there.